Once we were many. Now we are few. Hunters, killers of the world's filth. Witchers, the ultimate killing machines. Among us, a legend. The one they call Geralt of Rivia, the White Wolf.
Have you just finished playing Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, and want to understand the events of the story better? Or maybe you skipped the game but still want to know all the juicy details of the events that transpired? Well, friend, look no further. This is a cinematic explanation of The Witcher 3, where we will be looking at the events of the game in all their glorious detail. So let's get started. The game begins with Geralt dreaming about Kaer Morhen, his old Witcher school, while nude in the tub. During the dream, Yennefer of Vengerberg, Geralt's old love interest, tells Geralt that Ciri, a young Witcher in training, was practicing without his permission, but not before conjuring a crabby-looking creature inside the tub to pinch who knows where.
You know I don't find that amusing.
You promised Ciri you'd train with her. Go before Vesemir bores her to death with those etchings.
So, later then.
You see, several years before the events of the Witcher 3 game, Geralt had brought the orphaned Ciri to Kaer Morhen, where she met several Witchers, including Geralt's old teacher, Vesemir. There she trained to be a Witcher, but did not go through the mutations required to physically become one. Although the Witchers at first doubted her ability to become one of their own, Ciri quickly gained the respect of the Witchers through her perseverance and dedication. Ciri, or Princess Cirilla Fiona Ellen Rhiannon, as she was formerly known, had become bound to Geralt after he lifted a curse from Ciri's father, Emhyr var Emreis. Ciri's father had been turned into a hedgehog-looking creature at the age of 15 by a sorcerer that helped overthrow his father, and she casted the curse partially as a joke, as the word Emhyr in Nilfgaardian meant urchin, an old name for a hedgehog. Geralt helped lift Emhyr's curse, and in compensation invoked the Law of Surprise. The Law of Surprise is an ancient custom in the Witcher universe that can be invoked when one person saves another person's life. And according to this custom, the savior receives that which belongs to the saved person, but which they do not yet know. As it turns out, Ciri's mother had been pregnant with Ciri, unbeknownst to Ciri's father. Thus, Geralt was bound to Ciri by fate. Ciri had seemingly become an orphan before the age of 5, when her parents were thought to have perished at sea while sailing from Skellige to Cintra. Years later, when Ciri was 11, her grandmother Calantha Fiona Rhiannon of Cintra perished when the Nilfgaardian Empire invaded Cintra. In a twist of fate, however, it turned out that Ciri's father, who was actually alive and the Nilfgaardian Emperor, was the one who attacked Cintra. Yeah, so rude. Ciri escaped and by chance ended up with the family of a woman named Golden Cheeks along with her 2 sons for 6 months. As luck would have it, Golden Cheeks' husband, Jurga, was out on a trip while Ciri was staying with his family and had no idea about Ciri. During his trip, Geralt would end up saving his life and ask Geralt what he wanted as a reward. Geralt, who didn't know what else to ask for, enacted the Law of Surprise. When Jurga brought the Witcher back to his home and learned of the unexpected girl his wife had taken in, Ciri and Geralt ran to each other, reuniting once more. So yeah, Geralt is doubly bound to Ciri by the Law of Surprise. You'd think at this point Geralt would learn to stop invoking the Law of Surprise instead of just getting a few coins. Can't teach an old witcher new tricks, I guess. Geralt would then take Ciri to Kaer Morhen, not knowing where else to take her. During her stay there, however, Ciri began to manifest unnatural powers, and Triss Merigold was invited to teach and watch over Ciri. While Triss initially suspected the Witchers wanted her to mutate Ciri, it turned out they were just afraid of the girl's magical abilities. Triss feared she was unable to control Ciri, so she convinced Geralt and the others to put the young Witcheress in the care of a more experienced sorceress. And thus Ciri left for the temple in Elander, where Ciri was to be tutored by Yennefer of Vengerberg. Even though Ciri and Yennefer didn't get along well at first, they later grew a mother-daughter bond. Yennefer taught Ciri about magic and how to harness chaos. She also helped her with stopping her nightmares for a while, as well as controlling her breathing and pulse. But let's go back to the dream for now. In Geralt's dream, Geralt finds Ciri and brings her back to her teacher Vesemir. However, Geralt spots the Wild Hunt, a phantom army riding on undead horses who the common folk see as an omen of war and as bringing the end of the world. In truth, their true purpose is to find slaves from other worlds and bring them back to their own. The Wild Hunt swiftly overpowers Ciri, and Geralt is unable to stop them.
What the? Vizima.
Adriana wanted this, and you, White Wolf.
No!
Although this is a dream, it is true that the Wild Hunt captured Ciri and took her back to their world when she was only about 15 years old. And what would these monsters want to do with our precious Ciri? Well, they had sensed she had Elder Blood, a godlike source of magic that granted Ciri untold powers. But for the Wild Hunt, Ciri's Elder Blood meant they could use her to reopen the Gate of the Worlds, which they had lost the ability to do long ago, and which would give them access to all possible worlds to pillage, kidnap, and massacre as they pleased. The Wild Hunt's plan was for their king Oberon to have children with Ciri so their offspring could inherit Ciri's elder blood and would thus have the magical ability to reopen the World Gate. Mind you, the Wild Hunt's king was more than 650 elven years old at the time, and Ciri was only 15 or 16 years old. So I am puking a little just thinking about this. But before this nightmare could take place, the king overdosed on an aphrodisiac he had taken in an attempt to perform the act because he found Ciri repulsive. See, elves see humans as a little more than animals, so he needed a stimulus to have offspring. But before this could happen, Ciri thankfully escaped this forsaken place with the help of a unicorn. Geralt wakes up, realizing it's just a bad dream, and finds himself on the road with Vesemir. Geralt tells Vesemir about the dream, and they discuss the purpose of their journey, which is to find Yennefer after Geralt received a letter from her, which apparently smells like lilac and gooseberries. Lovely. The only problem is they don't know where she is exactly.
How about that? It does smell of lilac and gooseberries.
You were gonna read it, not sniff it.
We must meet soon. Willoughby near Vizima. Nothing else to guide us there. What's this postscript? I still have the unicorn?
Oh, and in case you were wondering what the stuffed unicorn is all about. Anyways, Geralt and Vesemir make their way to a nearby village called White Orchard, a quaint little village famous for its fruit orchards which bursts out white blossoms during spring, hence the name White Orchard. There, Geralt learns about perhaps the most important aspect of the entire Witcher universe, the effect of which ripples through the past, present, and future, affecting every interaction Geralt has ever come into contact with. It's the card game Gwent, which is awesome.
A moment, Witcher. You strike me as a man of the world. Are you familiar with Gwent?
No, and I don't have time to learn.
But the rules are quite simple. Come, let's play.
Why not?
Splendid! Here's how it's done.
More important for the Yennefer quest, Geralt learns that Yennefer, with her lilac and gooseberry scent, had gone to a nearby Nilfgaardian garrison. So Geralt sets out to the garrison. There, Geralt meets the Nilfgaardian captain Peter Sar Gwynlande. Gosh, Witcher names are so hard to pronounce. Peter had occupied this ruined fort and turned it into a military post after the Nilfgaardian victory at the Battle of White Orchard. Nilfgaardian victory? Battle of White Orchard? You may be asking, what's with all the talk of military stuff? Let's quickly talk about the events between the Witcher 2 game and the Witcher 3, which help explain what is happening. You may recall that during the Witcher 2, Temeria's king, Foltest, was slayed. As a result, Temeria became weakened, and it was during this moment of weakness that the kingdom of Nilfgaard struck. Nilfgaard's offense ravaged through Temeria, bringing chaos and uncertainty to the land. And the effects of this invasion would ripple throughout the entire Witcher 3, shown by the strong Nilfgaardian presence in the game, the inhabitants' discussion and fear of military campaigns, and even how some of the characters in the game rose to prominence. But let's get back to the game. Geralt tells Captain Peter that he seeks information on the location of Yennefer, and the captain agrees to give him the information. But only if Geralt can first take care of a griffin that had been causing problems in White Orchard. A griffin is a hybrid creature, a cross between an enormous cat and a bird of prey. According to some researchers, it is one of the creatures that arrived during the conjunction of the spheres, whereas others claim it is a native species that appeared in this world long before that event. They are known to toy with their prey, eating it alive piece by piece. So Geralt agrees and sets out to fight the creature. Together with Vesemir, Geralt lays down a trap for the griffin, and they lie in wait. After some time, they spot the massive griffin in the air flying towards the trap. Geralt fights the creature and defeats it. After slaying the griffin, Geralt returns to Captain Peter. He tells Geralt to search a nearby Vizima for Yennefer and tosses a coin to him for completing the contract. Can't say no to coins, you know? With this information in hand, Geralt and Vesemir make preparations to set out for Vizima. But before that, they return to a tavern in White Orchard where they attempt to protect the tavern owner, who is being harassed for taking down Temeria's colors. Because, oh, I don't know, the tavern will be burnt down if she doesn't? Geralt is forced to slay a group of men, only to realize that the tavern owner is not delighted to be saved, but rather terrified of him and kicks him out.
It's all right. It's over.
Leave me be! Get away!
See his face! God save us!
Be gone, and don't ever come back.
Poor Geralt, he just wants to help. But he has barely stepped out of the tavern when he is stopped by none other than Yennefer. This is the first time Geralt sees Yennefer during the events of the games, and the romantic tension between them is palpable. I'm sure Triss, who has been Geralt's love interest during the past two games, won't come up at all.
That brawl? We didn't start it.
Excuses, excuses. You've not changed a bit.
Yen? How?
I received a report about a witcher who'd appeared in White Orchard. I knew it was you, looking for me. I might have waited until you found me, but... well, you know me. Patience has never been my strong suit.
Yennefer informs Geralt that the Nilfgaardian Emperor Emhyr, Ciri's father, has summoned him to Vizima, which is now occupied by Nilfgaard. So Geralt and Vesemir say their goodbye, and Geralt sets out with Yennefer to speak with the Emperor. While riding to Vizima, Geralt starts to tell Yennefer about his dream of Ciri, telling her that Yennefer was in it. Before he can finish telling her, however, Geralt and Yennefer are ambushed by the Wild Hunt. Luckily, Yennefer slows them down long enough so they can get away. Together, Geralt and Yennefer ride all night to get away from the Wild Hunt, until they make their way to Vizima where the Emperor awaits. Once in Vizima, Geralt takes a nice bath, puts on some fancy clothes, and is taught how to bow. Yes, very Witcher-like. He is then summoned to speak with Emperor Emhyr, who asks Geralt to find Ciri, his daughter. He informs Geralt that Ciri has returned, but she is being hunted by the Wild Hunt. With him being the Emperor, Geralt has no choice but to agree.
My daughter Cirilla, she's returned. And she's in danger. The Wild Hunt pursues her. You will find her and bring her to me.
It's kind of crazy to think that Emperor Emhyr used to be this funny-looking hedgehog creature. Anyways, after speaking with the Emperor, Geralt finds Yennefer and speaks with her about Ciri. Oh, and also about the fact that they had not seen each other since Geralt lost his memory before the events of the first Witcher game. Needless to say, the romantic tension between them is through the roof at this point. Yennefer shows Geralt a picture of what Ciri looks like, who is now 21 years old. She also tells Geralt that she believes the Wild Hunt is hunting Ciri to harness the power of her elder blood. She tells Geralt to find a spy named Hendrik located in Velen to find more information about Ciri, and tells him to find Yennefer at Skellige after. And last but not least, Triss comes up. So awkward.
Triss Merigold. Apparently she's got a cozy flat on the main square.
Sure she'll be delighted to see me. One thing before we go. Why didn't you contact me? Didn't need me? Didn't even want to see me?
I didn't want to spoil things. I'd heard you and Triss made a great couple.
Yen, I'd lost my memory.
Really? That's your excuse? Let's drop it, all right? It's not what you think, or it helped me understand how much I love you. I don't wish to hear it. Any of it.
But hey, at least Geralt got a little kiss from Yennefer. So maybe she doesn't want to pulverize him after all. Or maybe she does. Well, we'll find out later, I guess. Geralt makes his way to Velen, which had become a war-torn swampland as a result of the Nilfgaardian invasion. In Velen, Geralt finds that Hendrik, the Nilfgaardian spy he was supposed to contact, has perished. You see, the Wild Hunt had learned that Hendrik had been tasked with finding and reporting as much information as he could on Ciri back to the Emperor. The Wild Hunt attacked the village where he was residing and slayed the people living there. Hendrik hid in his hut, but the Wild Hunt found him, where they committed unspeakable acts in an attempt to extract the information from him. But bravely, he did not break, and the Wild Hunt left empty-handed.
save terror through and through. Hendrik screamed. Then he begged. By the end, he could do naught but moan.
Yikes. The Wild Hunt does not mess around. After looking through Hendrik's hut for a while, Geralt finds his notes. The notes indicated that Ciri had come into contact with a baron and a witch. The baron would turn out to be Philip Strenger, better known as the Bloody Baron, and the witch would turn out to be Keira Metz. Geralt makes his way to Crow's Perch, a stronghold in Velen. There he meets with the Bloody Baron, a big man with a fiery temper who is the self-proclaimed ruler of Crow's Perch. He tells Geralt of his encounter with Ciri, and tasks Geralt with finding his wife and daughter in exchange for additional information on Ciri. Geralt agrees and sets off to find the whereabouts of the Bloody Baron's wife and daughter.
To the matter at hand, I'm Philip Strenger. Now the blobtits round here call me the Bloody Baron.
Geralt of Rivia. Blobtits call me the Butcher of Blaviken.
I said already, I know who you are. Truth be told, it's the only reason we're talking. I propose an exchange. Find my loved ones, and I shall tell you about the girl you seek. All I know.
Fine, I'll help you. I'll find your family, but then you'll give me every bit of information you have.
You have my word.
So let's talk about the Bloody Baron for a second, because there is a lot to unpack when it comes to him, his wife, and his daughter. The Bloody Baron had served in several wars fighting for Temeria throughout his life. During one battle, he took a spear in the shoulder and was tended to by a woman named Anna, who he would marry and have a child with soon after. Although their relationship started off well, the Bloody Baron and Anna would eventually have a rocky relationship. The Bloody Baron turned to drinking and soon became dependent on it, being unable to stop when he was at home. Anna, either due to loneliness, not being able to put up with her husband's drinking, or a combination of both, soon turned to a childhood friend named Evan for comfort. Anna and Evan would end up having an affair for about 3 years. Eventually, Anna decided to leave the Bloody Baron. So one day she packed up and took her daughter Tamara to Evan's home. Upset, the Bloody Baron followed them and ended up taking Evan's life. Anna became extremely upset and began to yell and claw at him before picking up a knife and trying to stab him. The Bloody Baron moved out of the way just in time, and not knowing what else to do, beat her. This tragic event marked the change in their relationship to an abusive one. Years later, Anna and her daughter Tamara, who was now a teenager, made a secret plan to get away from the Bloody Baron. Anna was pregnant at this point, and it may very well have been the case that she did not want her unborn child to go through the same life she did. Before Anna could execute her plan, however, the Bloody Baron became drunk and entered a particularly mad rage. He beat Anna, who would tragically end up miscarrying her child. It was right there and then that Anna decided to flee with Tamara. Now, Geralt, of course, had no idea that he was just enlisted to help this total psychopath find the mother and daughter that had escaped from him. But he would soon learn the truth about the Bloody Baron's terrible acts. Eventually, Geralt finds a lead in the form of a funny old man known as the Peller, who is one of my favorite side characters because he is just a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, if you know what I mean. Geralt saves the Peller from a group of men, and in return, the Peller tells Geralt that he can perform a ritual to find information about Anna. But before the poor man can help Geralt, he needs to find his goat named Princess, because, magic and stuff. So he asks Geralt to find the goat, and he makes sure to warn Geralt of the treacherous berries nearby.
Princess, my goat, she's fled.
Those men must have scared her off. Can we get back to the auguring?
Without the goat, impossible. No goat, won't work.
Fine. I'll get your goat.
The bell! The little bell's ringing. She loves it. Ring, ring, and she will follow. But for a while. But beware of wild strawberries. Raspberries, too.
Yeah, treacherous as beasts go. I always keep an eye out for them.
After being reunited with his precious goat, the Peller performs the ritual and informs Geralt of Anna's unborn child, which shocks Geralt. It turns out the unborn child has transformed into a botchling, a magical being created from the improper burial of unwanted stillborn infants that prey on pregnant women. Geralt, furious, returns to the Bloody Baron, who is predictably drunk. Geralt confronts him about Anna and Tamara's horrible fate suffered at the hands of the Bloody Baron, and Geralt makes sure to give him a dose of his own medicine, which makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
I know your wife miscarried. Was that before or after you beat her to a pulp?
What the fuck are you suggesting?
Don't play me for a fool. You'd been beating them for years. Finally, they'd had enough and fled. Sound about right? We need to talk.
After sobering up, the Bloody Baron confesses to his terrible actions. And in a shocking moment of self-reflection, he appears to be genuinely sorry and agrees to help deal with the creature. Geralt helps ease the Bloody Baron's nerves by telling him that he better not make this thing restless, or it'll bite him through his jugular. So comforting.
Take it in your arms, quick.
And if it goes garrety, it'll bite us in the arse before we know it.
Keep screaming and it will turn rabid. It's calm for now.
Bloody hell. What happens when it gets plowing restless?
It'll bite through your jugular and you'll bleed to death before I can help. Tell me if it starts wriggling. I'll calm it with magic.
Merciful gods! What now?
Repeat after me. By the powers of earth and sky.
By the powers of earth and sky.
By the world that was to be your home.
By the world that was to be your home.
Forgive me, you who came, but who I did not embrace.
Forgive me, you who came, but who I did not embrace.
I name thee, say her name, and embrace thee as my daughter.
I name thee, Daya, and embrace thee as my daughter.
Good. Now bury the body.
Afterwards, Geralt performs a ritual to have the botchling show him the location of Tamara and Anna. Eventually, Geralt finds his way to a hut belonging to a fisherman who had helped Tamara and her mother in their flight. There, he learns that a horrible beast had captured Anna and dragged her into the swamp. Tamara was able to escape with her life, and had found shelter with a relative of the fisherman in Oxenfurt. Geralt heads out to Oxenfurt, where he finds Tamara and tells her of the Bloody Baron's request to bring her back. Needless to say, Tamara is less than thrilled about the idea of going back to her abusive father.
Well, now you've found me, you can tell him I'm alive and I'm never coming back.
Sometime later, Geralt runs into an old acquaintance, a sorceress named Keira Metz. In true Witcher fashion, she is of course taking a bath when he runs into her. After she puts on some clothes, Geralt tells her that the reason he sought her out is because he heard Ciri had been in the area and had been quarreling with a witch. Keira tells Geralt that she has not seen Ciri, but she tells him about a mysterious elf maid she had met earlier who had asked about Ciri. She explains that the elf mentioned a hideout in nearby elven ruins. So together they set out to explore the ruins. There they learn that the Wild Hunt had arrived at the elven ruins earlier, but the Wild Hunt had not managed to find Ciri. After navigating through various tunnels and puzzles, Geralt and Keira face off against Nithral, a member of the Wild Hunt that had stayed behind. A ferocious fight ensues between Geralt and Nithral.
You're stubborn one.
Geralt, I shall help you.
Step back.
Stop telling me what to do. You'll regret it!
I wonder how long you last. Get out here!
Well and whole. I feared...
Unnecessarily. Let's look around.
If I've my knickers on straight, this looks like the elves' laboratory.
With Nithral defeated, Geralt and Keira explore the final part of the ruins, where it was clear the mysterious elf they are looking for had escaped. But they find no sign of Ciri. The two finally make their way out of the ruins, where they go their separate ways for now. Following his earlier lead, Geralt heads to the swamp where Anna had been dragged. He sets out to find the 3 witches of Crookback Bog, who he believes are involved in Anna's disappearance. He runs into a group of children that I have to point out gives me the total creeps. I mean, just look at those faces. Anyways, a woman who calls herself Gran comes out and starts barking questions at Geralt, and who is of no help when Geralt asks if she has seen Ciri. And what do you know? That's actually Anna, the bloody Baron's wife. But Geralt, of course, doesn't know that, so he just lets her go.
What's this talk? What kind of jabbering is this, eh? No one allowed here. Just kids. My kids. They're allowed. But who are you, wearing swords like a bandit?
Just talking to the kids. Asked them if they'd seen a young woman.
I was a lovely young woman. Wore a long, beautiful braid my mummy did up for me. Had dresses with flowers on them.
Maybe you've seen her. Young, ashen hair.
You're betrothed?
Daughter, actually.
Daughter? My dear, sweet little daughter. And her sister. Where are they now? Maybe they've come to some harm?
Geralt sets out to find Johnny, who the creepy kids mentioned earlier. Though it initially seemed as though the kids were making up Johnny, it turned out the kids were not lying. Johnny really did exist. He was not a human child, but rather a so-called godling, a rare creature resembling a human child with big, bright yellow eyes. Unfortunately, Johnny had lost his voice in circumstances he obviously could not explain, and so he could not answer Geralt's questions. Once Geralt helps him regain his voice, Johnny talks up a storm.
Whiskey! Slither! Ringworm! Rubbish! Bumblebee! Flabbergasted! Ha! The sound of it!
I'm looking for a young, ashen-haired woman. See anyone like that?
Did I ever? Remember it as if it were yesterday. Soon as I woke, I went to empty my bowels. My favourite part of the day. Defecating to the sunrise. Downright glorious.
Yeah, he was cuter when he couldn't talk. Johnny convinces Gran to put Geralt in touch with the 3 witches of Crookback Bog as a form of repayment. Gran does, and Geralt gets to meet the beauties that are the Crones, also known as the Ladies of the Woods. They tell Geralt of their encounter with Ciri, who they assure was taken care of like their own daughter. In reality, the Crones had decided to eat some of Ciri before handing her over to the general of the Wild Hunt. Ciri fortunately overheard them and fled before that could happen. It's also at this time that Geralt figures out Gran is actually Anna. but the witches will not let her go.
I know that mark. This is Anna, the wife of the Baron of Crow's Perch.
She belongs to no man.
A fruit ripened in her womb. A fruit sprouted from seeds sown by a man she detested.
We helped her. She agreed to serve. She bears the mark. She is ours. Come. It is another woman who interests you.
You looked different in the tapestry.
We're all dressed up just for you. If you only knew how much time we spent in front of the glass.
Do you desire us?
Oh, I'd suck every last drop out of you.
Ah, to be woven together with you? I'd be your best and last.
Not what I came for.
We cared for her as best we could.
Like she was our own daughter.
Wasted affection. She proved a very naughty girl.
Mischievous, stubborn, and selfish.
Don't believe you. She escaped you, but I'll find her. We'll come back here together and kill you.
Your return you shall. Our fates are bound.
And one will die, but it shan't be one of us.
Geralt returns to the Bloody Baron and reports to him that he found Anna and Tamara, but that neither of them wants to return. The Bloody Baron is of course unhappy with this turn of events, but he eventually tells Geralt more information about his encounter with Ciri. He tells her of Ciri taking out ferocious creatures with her totally BA skills, for example. The Bloody Baron then explains that Ciri left for Novigrad. But before Geralt can set out, the Bloody Baron convinces Geralt to help him free Anna from the three crones. Geralt agrees. And it's also at this time that Geralt meets a funky little creature called Uma, who will turn out to be relevant to the plot later on.
Dare you! Sorry, we were slithering.
What was that?
You tell me. Man or monster? My men call him Uma and say he's a beast. But he seems a man to me. Just hideous as Ardle's shit.
When Geralt returns to Crookback Bog for Anna, the outcome of the encounter depends on the player's choices. But for our story, we'll pick my favorite outcome, which is of course Anna bursting into flames.
It's Anna! What have you done?
What have you done? You were to save her! She burst into flames, hear me? My mother burned alive!
Just kidding, that is so twisted. I don't even know how that's a real option. My favorite outcome is the Bloody Baron begging for forgiveness. And in an attempt to make up for all his terrible deeds, he promises to take Anna to the Blue Mountains where a hermit lives, in hopes he could cure Anna. You see, Anna had at this point completely lost her mind from all her time with the three crones. Tamara, who could not go with them due to other obligations, makes her father swear he'll take care of her mother before they leave.
I will not touch drink. I will find the hermit. And once she is herself again, we will find you.
Swear it.
You have my word, child.
With the Bloody Baron saga wrapped up, Geralt sets off to Novigrad to look for Ciri. When he arrives, he is greeted by the totally pleasant and definitely not apocalyptic sight of two people being burned at the stake. One of the victims is a sorceress by the name of Felicia Corey, who Geralt had met in Loch Moyne during the events of The Witcher 2. And the other victim is a Doppler, which is a magical creature with the ability to shapeshift, by the name of Chappelle, who had taken the form of one of the city's leaders but had been found out. They had been captured for their magical abilities and set ablaze. See, Novigrad at this point had been overtaken by witch hunters, who for no reason other than hate sought to exterminate those with magical powers, which included sorceresses like Felicia and magical creatures like Chappelle. After witnessing this tragic event, Geralt runs into Triss, who had been Geralt's primary love interest during the Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 games. But that was before he had seen his original love interest, Yennefer. I'm sure this won't make things awkward. Anyways, he tells Triss that he believes Ciri was in the city, and asks whether Triss has seen her. Triss says that she has not, but agrees to help Geralt look for her. In return, Geralt agrees to help Triss deal with a rat infestation, which is as glamorous as it sounds. Now, you may be wondering why Triss, who was the former advisor to a king, is suddenly offering pest control services. Well, with witch hunters running the city, Triss and her magical abilities had become forced underground, and rat catching was about the best work she could find. Regardless, Geralt and Triss deal with the rats and reminisce about the good old days. And yes, Triss knows that Geralt has seen Yennefer. And yes, the romantic tension between the two is off the charts. And so the most important question in Witcher 3 begins to take form. Will Geralt choose Yennefer or Triss?
Interesting method. Never had much luck with rats. Once I hit one with a fork in complete darkness, trying to show off my witcher's senses. Masterful throw, really. Problem was, no one else saw it. How could they in the dark?
So, what do you think? Rat catcher? It's a long way to fall from being advisor to Temeria's king.
I'm just glad to see you safe and sound, and...
Reconciled?
I was worried about seeing you again. Doubted it could be pleasant.
We said everything there was to say 6 months ago. I don't want to go back to that.
I'm not going back to it. It's one thing to say something, it's another to actually do it.
We promised to remain friends. I hope nothing will change that. So, tell me how Yen's doing?
How do you know I found her?
You didn't answer my question. How's Yen?
She's fine.
That's good.
Asking about anything specific?
Never mind. I got my answer.
After dealing with the rats and some double-crossing witch hunters, Triss tells Geralt to visit a dream interpreter known as Corinne Tilly. He does, and he saves Corinne from a mischievous godling by the name of Sarah, who had put a spell on Corinne so that she would only have nightmares. In return for saving her, Corinne shows Geralt a funky little dream about Dandelion talking to a bird, I think. The dream apparently means that Ciri had contacted Dandelion, and so Geralt sets out to find him. Soon after, Geralt runs into his good old friend Zoltan, who is as feisty as always. Oh, and they immediately get into a fight with some randos for good measure. You know, as friends do.
Geralt, in the nick of time, as always.
Zoltan, with your boot to someone's ass, as always. Who were those men?
Local colour. I wasn't going more than a moment. Long enough for them to turn our home into theirs. All right, time for some spring cleaning. I've got to boot them all out. Care to join me?
With pleasure.
Yeah.
Almost like we never left Vergen.
Told you this place was good.
Afterwards, Geralt and Zoltan discover that Dandelion had been kidnapped by the witch hunters, so they set out to free him. With the help of Triss, and against Geralt's protests, they make their way inside the witch hunters' hideout by using Triss as bait. The witch hunters eagerly allow Geralt and Triss into their hideout, but they would soon regret that decision, as Triss unleashes her fury upon them. This is payback for all those senseless atrocities the group had committed against the sorceresses and magical creatures of the city, many of whom were Triss's friends.
You say where Dandelion is?
Yes, but... Triss.
Afterwards, Geralt and Zoltan team up with a Doppler named Dudu and a female bard named Priscilla, who also happens to be Dandelion's latest love interest. But hey, maybe she'll finally be the one. Dudu also transforms into Ciri at one point, which is a mystifying yet unsettling sight.
Viva. Show us Ciri for a moment.
Geralt? Transform. Change into her.
I feel strange. Both of you staring at me bug-eyed. Is that enough?
Yeah, plenty. Bad idea.
Together, they manage to ambush the witch hunters and free Dandelion. But of course, Dandelion explains that he was but mere moments from making his grand escape. Such a shame that Geralt had to ruin it, but oh well. Dandelion also tells Geralt about his encounter with Ciri, but he unfortunately had no idea where she is now, since she had teleported away as they were being attacked. Dandelion also makes sure to tell Geralt of a spell Ciri kept repeating to herself, which will be important for the story later on.
Geralt, must you ruin everything? I had him just where I wanted him. It is good to see you, friend. She needed help deciphering a curse. It's incantation.
What was Ciri's interest in this curse? Did she want to cast it or lift it? She tell you?
She wasn't all that willing to talk about it. I didn't want to pry.
The one time when it might have been useful.
But I'm almost positive she meant to lift it.
Off who? What? Or was it about her directly?
No. I don't think so. I mean, she didn't look cursed, but boy was she in a hurry.
Know any more about the curse? Something specific, a detail, anything?
Well, I know the words.
You're kidding.
No, they were Elven. Ciri was constantly repeating them to herself. Probably not to forget. Went like this. Vafile Elaine Kiadmil Foli. Gladev Dorn Ep Tenaid Bundro Isne Iakas.
Doesn't mean a thing to me.
Even less to me.
Geralt then decides to set out for Skellige, which is where Yennefer is looking for Ciri. But before that, for those who are Team Triss, Geralt can assist Triss in helping the mages escape from the witch hunters at Novigrad. This leads to the pair attending a masquerade ball, where Geralt kisses Triss as fireworks start.
Careful.
Later, Geralt gets the chance to profess his love for Triss.
One last farewell. Thank you. I'll never forget what you did for me. And what we had together.
Stay with me.
Geralt, not this again. Especially not here. Not now.
Miss Marigold, we got a sail.
Please.
We had our chance. But let it go.
I love you.
Miss Marigold, we're casting off.
Triss? I thought...
So did I. But I changed my mind.
If Geralt continues his romance with Triss, he eventually asks Triss to settle down with him. Which, yes, is pretty hard to believe for the adventure-loving Witcher.
When we're done here, when all this is over, once we've defeated the hunt and Ciri's safe, I'd like us to live there, together.
I'm surprised. I don't really know what to say.
You don't need to decide right away, but I'm glad you know. I was afraid how you'd react. It's a big deal. We settling to a permanent home. If you don't want this, I'll turn it down. What I really want is to be with you, to be together, and...
Triss,
Yes?
we'll be together. And you don't need to turn anything down.
Hard as it may be to believe, Geralt planted roots in faraway Kovir. He and Triss settled down, their home warm and smelling of freshly baked cakes. Guests were always welcome, no matter the day or the hour. The Witcher would take jobs at times more from habit than need, for Triss earned a true fortune as the mage advisor to Kovir's king.
Brings tears to my eyes. Thereafter, Geralt sails off to Skellige to find Yennefer. Skellige is a group of 6 islands that are home to a warrior people that largely resemble a mix between Vikings and ancient Irish-Scottish cultures. And fun fact, the word Skellige is derived from an Irish word that means rock or cliff. And rocky it is, as Geralt's ship crashes into large rocks after being attacked by a group of pirates, leaving him stranded. Eventually, Geralt makes his way to the funeral of the king of Skellige, where he meets Yennefer. And Geralt makes sure to lay it on thick when he sees her.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Haven't seen each other in 2 years. I want a solitary cottage by the sea. I want to lock myself inside with you. Stay there for a week.
What would we do there for a week?
Got so many ideas.
The one with the rope you use for trophies. That one seems interesting.
Together, Geralt and Yennefer attend a gathering following the funeral, where they exchange pleasantries with the locals while continuing to investigate Ciri's whereabouts.
Call me a goat fucker one more time, and I'll chop off your head, stick it on a pike, and piss down your neck hole.
Had enough?
You got me good. That were quite a wallop. Still seeing spots, room rocking like a leaky tub in a hurricane.
We'll call it even then.
The pair slips out of the party and breaks into the home of a druid named Ermion, where they borrow a magical object called the Mask of Ouroboros, which they believe will help them find out what happened to Ciri. After they get a hold of the mask, Geralt and Yennefer are attacked by a golem, and they are forced to teleport away to the first place Geralt can think of. And of course he picks a place where he and Yennefer can be alone for a minute, to do what he was probably thinking of since the moment he saw her. And there is a horse with them for some reason.
Oh no.
So much for Triss, I guess. Anyhow, using the borrowed and definitely not stolen Mask of Ouroboros, Geralt and Yennefer perform a ritual to see visions of the past. Using the spell, they see Ciri's arrival with a mysterious mage and her escape from Skellige. This information leads Geralt and Yennefer to seek a Skellige villager by the name of Skellige, who had helped Ciri escape the Wild Hunt. But he turns out to have perished, and his body had been cast out of his village for apparently having died in a cowardly way. But this would be far from the truth, as Skellige had actually bravely led Ciri away from the Wild Hunt, knowing full well it would not end well for him. Yennefer and Geralt would learn this and more through the somewhat questionable use of necromancy, which is pretty horrifying to watch, not gonna lie.
Are you Craven of Lofoten?
No, I have a name. I am Skellige.
With that additional evidence on Ciri's fate, Geralt and Yennefer continue with their quest. Now, for those who are Team Yennefer, Geralt can help Yennefer find a djinn, essentially a genie, so she can capture its power. During their trip, the topic of Geralt's last wish to a djinn comes up, which is when Geralt wished for him and Yennefer to be bound by love forever, as we mentioned in our Witcher 3 background video.
Not sure this djinn thing's a good idea.
We managed to seize one before. Do you remember?
Of course. Dandelion almost lost his voice that time.
How lucky your exorcism saved it. It was poetic.
Yeah, how was I supposed to know that incantation meant begone and plow yourself?
You should have studied foreign languages.
Gonna keep bringing that up for the rest of my life?
Of course. Your last wish effectively assured it.
My wish was about us being together always, not about you mocking my every mistake.
Careful what you wish for. And when your wish is granted, you must accept it with all attendant circumstances.
Eventually, the duo makes their way to the top of a mountain, where Geralt refuses to go any further unless Yennefer tells him the real reason why she is looking for the djinn. Reluctantly, she explains that she wants to break Geralt's original wish for them to be bound, so that they can find out whether their bond is simply the result of magic or whether it is real.
How long has this been going on, Geralt? This thing between us? 15, 20 years? We repeatedly split up, then return to one another. Something draws us to each other, but I can never be certain if it's a true feeling or merely a bit of mischief by a djinn.
So that's it? This is about my last wish?
You asked that djinn to bind us together forever. I want to ask this one to take that wish back.
Why would you want to do that?
To see what it's like without it. To see if we'll still matter to one another. Or if we'll be like two strangers.
At last, they find the djinn and fight it. They manage to defeat it and break the spell. But they find out that nothing has really changed. Yennefer asks Geralt how he feels about her, and Geralt has the chance to decide to stay with Yennefer and live there happily ever after.
Feel anything? That anything's different?
I expected... I don't know what I expected, actually. A bit of vertigo, perhaps. I thought you'd become a stranger to me, that I'd look at you and not feel a thing. But it's not like that at all. Nothing's changed.
Djinn might have cheated us after all.
Why?
'Cause I don't feel that anything's changed either. I love you, Yen.
And I love you.
While monarchs moved borders and populations, Geralt and Yennefer lived a calm, quiet life, far from all things political. They breakfasted well after noon, more often than not in bed, and passed the days on lazy strolls and long conversations. Boring, you say? Perhaps. But both had sought this more than anything else.
Just don't get greedy and try to romance both Yennefer and Triss. Let's just say Geralt gets what he deserves if that's the case.
I'd lost hope that you'd appear.
We couldn't wait for you to show.
Mm-hmm.
What about me? Don't I get any?
You just got exactly what you deserve.
Hey, this isn't funny. Triss, Yen.
Anyways, back to the story. At last, Geralt pieces together Ciri's story, beginning with her arrival in Skellige, her escape from the wild hunt in the forest, Ciri's elven companion being cursed, and her arrival at Crookback Bog. Ciri escapes the 3 crones who try to eat her and sell her to the wild hunt.
Does she sleep? Like a lamb. Come, sisters, no point in dawdling. The table's set, the cauldron bubbles.
We cannot! You know she is meant for him!
Emlyrith will get her. He will, but not whole.
Well said. We'll just have a sample.
I'll take her feet. Lovely. Plump. Perfect for a broth.
Oh, I can taste it already. Very well. Get on with it! Oh, you'll regret that, girl. Regret it dearly.
After killing a werewolf, Ciri meets the Bloody Baron and after a race, rescues him from a basilisk while using magic. But the Wild Hunt can sense Ciri's use of her magical abilities and tracks her down.
Bring it on, horser! Come here! What you did for me, I shall never forget it.
I certainly hope not. It's brought me no small trouble.
Meaning?
I must flee. Wraiths pursue me. The Wild Hunt. I was foolish to use the power. They're sure to have caught my scent.
The Wild Hunt? Pursuing you?
I'll endanger all of you by remaining here. You must tell the people to bar their doors and windows. And no one is to wander the night.
You? Where do you think you're going?
Now, I ride for Novigrad. And then, who knows where.
Realizing Ciri has put the Baron and his keep in danger, she leaves for Novigrad to repair a phylactery to help cure her companion's curse, leading her to contact Whoreson Jr., a notable criminal in Novigrad. After participating in a heist, Ciri, Dandelion, and Dudu are betrayed by Whoreson Jr., and during their escape, Dandelion is captured by the temple guard, and Ciri teleports back to Skellige.
They're ready for the square! After them! Guards! Guards!
Dandelion!
Ciri! Ciri? Damn it.
At Skellige, Ciri's elven companion rescues her and tells Skeal to look after her until she is well enough to meet him at a getaway spot. After the Wild Hunt attacks Skeal's village, Skeal helps Ciri escape with her companion, who manages to hide her in an inaccessible island. Ciri is then put to sleep by her companion and teleported away.
What? What was that?
The Wild Hunt.
Ragnarok? The world's end?
No, not yet. But I must go. They're here for me.
Get on the horse. I'll show you the way to the rock.
You should stay. See to Astrid, your mum.
Afterwards. Once I'm sure you'll make it. Let's go!
What?
Putting all the clues together, Geralt leaves in search of Uma, the monstrous baby-looking creature who may be the key to finding Ciri. Geralt finds Uma and collects him from the Bloody Baron and his men, who apparently won the creature from a merchant.
What the? Quit playing around. Let's go.
After collecting Uma, Geralt is intercepted by Emperor Amir's men, who ask, well, more like demand, that Geralt go to Vizima and report his findings on Ciri's whereabouts. At court, Geralt meets with Yennefer and the Emperor, while Uma waddles and babbles about. The Emperor, somewhat understandably confused why the little creature is there instead of Ciri, chastises Geralt. But eventually he softens up when Geralt is able to provide the words that may be able to lift Uma's curse, which Dandelion shared with him. This gets them one step closer to finding Ciri.
This man is the key to finding her.
I give you 3 solid leads, trails as fresh as morning dew, the aid of my spies and my court sorcerers. Yet in my daughter's stead, you bring me this monstrosity? I hope you have more to say, for your sake.
This monstrosity might well be your daughter. Its body is the product of a curse someone hides inside it.
Can you lift this curse?
I've done a great deal of research, made inquiries, but to lift it I would need to know the words used to cast it, and that...
Vafel Elen, Kedmil Fali. Gladiv Dorn Eptened Bandro Ithne Iacus. Dandelion told me. Ciri talked to him about it.
At last, you provide a pleasant surprise. Lady Yennefer, my question stands.
Yes. I believe I can. But I must...
The details do not interest me. Geralt, you've achieved precious little, yet admittedly more than the bumblers in my spy corps have. I give you half the promised reward. You will receive the other when you bring me Ciri.
Geralt takes Uma to Geralt's old Witcher school, Kaer Morhen, to meet Yennefer and undo Uma's curse. There, Geralt meets with his old teacher Vesemir, who informs him that Yennefer has been nothing but pleasant and has definitely not thrown Geralt's old bed from his balcony because of Triss's scent all over it.
Yen's here already?
And how?
Huh. You two argue?
Geralt, I understand she's a... well, how do I put this? Emancipated, strong-willed woman. But do manners count for nothing? She teleports in,
Not even a nice to see you. Jumps right into a, we've a curse to lift, there's this to do and that. So Eskel and Lambert get going. Then she went to the guest room to rearrange things. Threw the bed off the balcony.
Shame. That was a good bed.
Said the same myself. Solid oak frame, down mattress. Triss always said she... Ah, now I see.
It's either that, or Yen really hates oak furniture.
At Kaer Morhen, Geralt also meets his old Witcher companions Lambert and Eskel. The three celebrate being together in the time-honored Witcher tradition of getting drunk and making total fools of themselves, which involves Lambert dressing up as Vesemir and the trio trying on Yennefer's clothes.
Damn, Eskel. You got an hourglass figure.
And you're an ass. Come on, go. Thing's tight as hell. Now, I'll do the talking. You two fiddle with the crystals. Cadmil blood de toi. Hocus pocus abracadabra splather.
What is this? Who's that?
So sorry. We were never here.
Guards!
More paper, Excellency!
No, you oaf.
The lodge has come for me.
I trust you have an explanation for this. A very good one. Go to bed. Now.
Very fashionable, if I don't say so myself. Once Geralt wakes up with a slight hangover, the group essentially performs the Trial of the Grasses, an incredibly dangerous and painful trial by which young apprentices at Kaer Morhen were turned into Witchers. It requires the consumption of special alchemical ingredients known as the Grasses, which affect the nervous system. Reportedly, only 3 in 10 apprentices survived the trial. Needless to say, the group is wary that if the ritual goes wrong, it could kill Uma, who could be Ciri for all they know. Fortunately, the team is able to lift the curse, revealing that Uma is really an elf by the name of Avallac'h, who despite tittering on the edge of death, musters enough strength to utter a crucial piece of information: Ciri's location, a place called the Isle of Mists.
Never severe. Kaniatad, Nevid, Savi, Kawal, Arriva, Endir.
No, I won't let you. Geralt, yellow flask, in my satchel.
Quiet. Listen.
Kowal. Kaniatad.
Nevid severe. Kowal, Kaniatad. Nevid, Arriva, Endir.
Geralt, the phylactery, open it!
Canitad, Taran Anadir, Jeez!
Epilogue?
You know him?
Yes. An elf. An elf. A sage.
Where is Ciri?
The Isle of Mists. But it's not... She's not safe. The hunt.
Now, let's talk about Avallac'h, because he is one of the most enigmatic characters of The Witcher 3. Geralt initially does not trust Avallac'h, and with good reason, as Avallac'h came from the exact same place as the Wild Hunt, the world of the Enel. There was no doubt Avallac'h had helped Ciri, as he had saved her numerous times from the Wild Hunt. But why? Due to his condition, Avallac'h had obviously been unable to answer Geralt's questions after being cured of his curse. But we would later find out his true motives, when Geralt finds Avallac'h's laboratory and finds a diagram of Ciri's genealogy, linking her to the powerful Lara Dorren. Lara was an elven sorceress whose descendants, including Ciri, carried the powerful Elder blood. And get this, Lara was promised to be wed with Avallac'h, so they could continue the elves' Elder blood lineage and thus be able to access the World Gate. But Lara fell in love with a human wizard. This was particularly painful for Avallac'h, as elves see humans as inferior, and he had lost his would-be wife and future of his race to a human. So when Avallac'h met Ciri, a human with Elder blood, it would surely have been a painful reminder of what he perceived as Laura's betrayal of him and his people. Nevertheless, when Avallac'h learned of Ciri's existence, he sought to protect her from danger, but only so he could eventually harness the power of her blood. Thus, although he may seem compassionate by protecting Ciri, he is pragmatic at heart and has little regard for her as a person. And perhaps worst of all, his ultimate goal is to open the World Gate so that his people can travel between worlds as they please, enabling them to pillage, plunder, and enslave at their heart's desire. But let's get back to the story. With Ciri's location on hand, Geralt travels to the Isle of Mists. There he finds Ciri in a death-like state, looked after by some dwarves. Very Sleeping Beauty-like. While grieving her death, Avallac'h's guide awakens her in Geralt's arms. Once awake, Geralt and Ciri rejoice at finally being back together, and they embrace as a father would after seeing their long-lost daughter. Ciri explains why the Wild Hunt is after her. Eredin, the king of the Wild Hunt, is afraid of his world falling into the White Frost, and he wishes to exploit Ciri's powers to evacuate his people and conquer other realms. Afterwards, Ciri teleports Geralt to Kaer Morhen, so they can stand against the Wild Hunt when they come after Ciri. Once there, the group is glad to see Ciri and celebrates her arrival at long last. They then make preparations to face the formidable Wild Hunt. A few hours later, the sunny weather turns to winter as the Wild Hunt arrives at Kaer Morhen. The group makes a valiant stand against the powerful Wild Hunt. In a tragic twist of fate, however, Vesemir is killed by a Wild Hunt general named Imlerith in trying to protect Ciri from the hunt. Distraught, Ciri releases all her uncontrollable powers, causing the Wild Hunt to retreat.
Where is he?
Can't escape me this time.
She'll not abandon you. You humans are so impractical.
Ciri, no!
I forbid you!
You always were an unruly child. I adored that about you. Now fly!
Following the attack, the group holds a funeral for Vesemir. Afterwards, Ciri, obviously seething for revenge for the death of Vesemir, asks Geralt to go to Bald Mountain to kill the one responsible, Imlerith.
After the Battle of Kaer Morhen, the defenders licked their wounds and mourned their losses, save Ciri, who began to plan her revenge. She woke Geralt one night and urged him to travel with her to Velen, to the top of Bald Mountain, where she knew she'd find Imlerith. She had decided he had to die.
Once there, Geralt and Ciri decide they must also take out the Crones. But because they both want to fight Imlerith, they decide he will do so by invoking the Witcher tradition of playing rock, paper, scissors. Ciri loses and fights the Crones. Though she manages to slay 2 of them, a single Crone escapes with Vesemir's wolf medallion.
Welcome, child of the Elder Blood. We knew you would return.
Your taste lingers on our tongues.
You've talked enough. Damn it.
While that's happening, Geralt fights against Imlerith. He manages to defeat him, avenging his old teacher Vesemir.
You fall to the bitter end.
I trust this time will be no different. Who taught you to fight like this?
The Witcher you slew.
With vengeance out of the way, Geralt and Ciri employ the last part of their plan, to unite as many allies as possible to make a final stand against the Wild Hunt. This includes reuniting the Lodge of Sorceresses by rescuing Philippa, Eilhart, and Margarita, traveling to the world of the NL with Avallac'h to find one of the Wild Hunt's most trusted lieutenants, to turn him against the king of the Wild Hunt, Illidan, and enlisting the Nilfgaardian army and the people of Skellige against the Wild Hunt. Once preparations are complete, the group makes its way to an island in Skellige called Unvik. There, Avallac'h uses the Sunstone, an artifact they believe can draw the Wild Hunt and trap them. The Sunstone works, and the Wild Hunt and its fleet set forth onto the land. The Wild Hunt freezes Geralt and his allies, which leads Ciri to free them by battling Kerenthir, Eredin's right-hand man. After Ciri breaks the spell, however, she is wounded and teleported away.
Almost, Scylla. Almost. Stjåthjad!
After Ciri teleports away, Geralt confronts Kerenthir and defeats him. But before Geralt can properly finish him, Kerenthir teleports Geralt away into the water. Once Geralt makes his way out of the water, he heads to the Wild Hunt's main ship, where he witnesses Illidan, the king of the Wild Hunt, take the life of the Jarl of Skellige, Crack. Geralt faces off against Illidan in a brutal fight. At last, Geralt emerges victorious. In his dying breath, Illidan reveals that Avallac'h has Ciri and that he lied to them both.
Witcher, I was hoping you'd come.
Because?
I've something to tell you, but I'll do so afterwards.
As you expire.
said you had something to tell me.
Epilogue has tricked us both. He set us against each other, and he's made off with Ciri.
I don't believe you.
After the fight, Yennefer rescues Geralt and they make their way to Ciri's location, a tower that is being engulfed by a beam of energy radiating from the sky. This energy is the result of the conjunction of the spheres, a cataclysmic event where different universes collide. Inside the tower, Geralt confronts Avallac'h, who drops his sword and tells him that he was helping Ciri, which Geralt does not believe. Ciri appears and tells Geralt to believe him, and that only the Elder Blood can stop the White Frost before it consumes all life on every world. After a heated discussion, Ciri goes through the portal and confronts the White Frost, ending the threat by destroying its source.
Geralt. So unfortunate. I'd hoped you wouldn't have to witness this. Where's Ciri? Nearby. Listen. Shut up. I've heard enough of your bullshit. Draw your weapon. Let's get this over with. Think I'm willing to spare you? I think you will not attack one unarmed. Wouldn't be so sure. I'm in a foul mood. I am not your foe. I am merely helping Cirilla. I don't believe you. Can't. Not after all that's happened.
Will you believe me? Avallac'h speaks the truth. I asked him to help me open the tower, because I aim to enter it.
Why the hell would you do this? The Wild Hunt's been defeated.
The White Frost has not. The prophecies are true. I have seen worlds bound in ice. I know what awaits you. Only the Elder Blood can stop the White Frost. Only I can stop it.
You don't have to make this sacrifice.
You're wrong. The White Frost is inevitable. It will come to freeze the worlds one after the other, eradicating all life. Only I can stop the destruction. I've given it much thought and made my decision.
There's gotta be another way.
What can you know about saving the world, silly? You're but a witcher. This is my story, not yours. You must let me finish telling it. Perhaps I should have told you. I see now you might have understood.
Know you better than you think. Don't keep me waiting.
The end of The Witcher 3 and Ciri's fate varies according to the choices the player made in the game. There are 3 possible outcomes. Number 1, if Geralt did not present Ciri to her father, then Geralt and Ciri fake her death, and Ciri becomes a wandering monster hunter like Geralt.
Speak.
Ciri is dead.
How did it happen?
The White Cold. You're familiar with the prophecy? Ciri tried to stop it. She did, but paid the ultimate price.
Where is the body?
I doubt it'll ever be found. If there's nothing else.
There is, but you may go. Witcher, I do not wish to see you ever again.
Is it done?
Yes.
Did he believe you?
I have no idea.
For the cockatrice. And we've a new contract. It won't pay much, but I think it worth the toil.
You've been busy. It's yours.
A witch's sword. Swallow. Oh, beautiful. May I?
Not here. You'll have ample opportunity soon enough, Witcher.
Let's try it out then.
Cirilla, Fiona, Ellen, Rhiannon, heir to Nilfgaard's throne, chose the life of a witcher on the path. Geralt taught her all he knew, every skill he possessed. Then each set off on their own. Soon word of the ashen-haired witcheress had spread throughout the north, from the Yaruga to the mountains of Kovir.
Number 2. If Geralt presented Ciri to her father, Emperor Emir, and assisted in the assassination of the King of Redania, who was Emir's last threat, then Ciri will reluctantly accept the throne of Nilfgaard. She reasons that she could do more good for the world as an empress than a monster hunter.
I'm going to Nilfgaard, to Emir. I know you didn't expect this, but in Vizima, my father and I spoke for long. Argued, really, and parted. Then a messenger came with a letter. I didn't say anything at first because I wasn't sure, and then I realized I had to stop fleeing. I realized that if I wish to change anything, I cannot do so hunting monsters round forgotten villages. I must do so from there, from Nilfgaard.
Is this what you want?
Yes. You'll not try to stop me. Take me to the Blue Mountains by force.
Traveled half the world to find you, but I never intended to force anything on you.
I know.
You'll be fine. You're a witcher.
We needn't say goodbye.
Of course we don't.
I don't know when we'll see each other again.
You know where to find me.
You can't possibly stay at Kaer Morhen all the time.
Makes no difference. You'll find me.
True.
Remember what I taught you. Never know. Could be useful there too.
After years in exile, Ciri returned to Nilfgaard, her paternal home, where Emir prepared to name her his successor. The woman had the necessary qualities. From her father, she'd inherited an empress's political instincts. From Geralt, she had gained a sense of simple human decency. Few monarchs boast both traits, which is quite a shame. And what of Geralt, you might ask? Well, he continued on as before, living hand to mouth, job to job, on the road, ever coinless. We would meet at times over a glass of strong drink to talk about the old days and speculate what could have, would have, might have been.
Number 3. If Ciri died stopping the White Frost, then Geralt hunts down the last crone to recover Vesemir's medallion, his only memento of Ciri. I'll leave it up to you to decide which ending is best.
Cyril is dead. Naught but a small frozen corpse in an icy wilderness. And you are afraid. You feel fear.
You lie. I don't feel a thing anymore.
Despair devours you like maggots devour a corpse.
That brings us to the end of The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. We hope you enjoyed watching the events of the game. Or if you have already played the game, we hope you learned a thing or two that you missed during your playthrough. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time. See ya!